Lately, I've been trying to get myself out there in the dating world, and I hate it a little bit. I feel like I have to present myself like a math problem. Here are my job, my hobbies, my interests. Here's how much utility I can provide in your life. Please love me. I feel like there's no romance, and I definitely don't feel like a person. I'm wondering if anyone has felt the same or has any advice. I think this has a lot more to do with how I view myself. I just don't feel much spark, and it doesn't especially feel like I'm making connections. It feels like everyone is going to judge me based on my success first, and me second. I guess I don't feel like people are out there to love me as much as have me love them, which is nice, and I want that, but I want love too. Story 1. Well, most dates are laborious like that. I've come to understand that means there's no chemistry, and there's no point trying, no matter how objectively hot they might seem. But every now and then, you meet someone where conversation doesn't feel like a chore. And those are the people you go the extra mile for. It only has to happen once. Story 2. It sounds like you are treating dating like a job interview. It's easy to just run through the here is what I do. Here is what I like. Here is how I make money. Try to create a conversation around the topics instead of just learning facts about each other. Ask more how and why questions. Expect to get those sorts of questions in return. Story 3. Ask her about herself and then build the conversation from there. Chemistry is found in conversation, not listing off your qualifications. When you talk about yourself, don't focus on selling yourself. Share a story or talk about a hobby with passion. Story 4. This is an amazing question, to be honest, and I've done this in my initial dates, which I treated like a job application. I'd show how cool I am and how successful I am and find no spark at all. Firstly, congratulations, since you realized this about yourself. You might treat other people well, you won't treat them like a product, but as a human being. It looks like you've been treating yourself that way, and that made you work hard, and now it's backfiring. Also, it looks like you haven't socialized much, especially with ladies, and don't know how to make a comfortable environment around people. Rather, you feel the need to show you're cool, and the answers might be in your past or childhood. However, I'd suggest you meet a person who's not only as successful as you are or whatever, but find a person who shares an interest with you. When you start talking about your common interests, you'll lose track of time and enjoy each other's company. Hence, it's the first step to make people comfortable around you. Start meeting people and see them as human beings and connect with them on those levels. I hope this helps. Story 5. Here's my job, my hobbies, my interests. Here's how much utility I can provide in your life. Remember, dates are kind of like job interviews. An important part of the job interview process is to present yourself as someone they'd want to work with as well. So, you get all that boring stuff out of the way in 5 or 10 minutes. What do you do the rest of the date? Show your personality. Are you the kind of person that likes to tell stories about how great you are or about how silly you can be? When you listen to your date, do you like to interject occasionally with remarks or questions about what she's saying? Are you witty enough to come up with relevant jokes on the fly? Do you tend to agree with someone's perspective? Do you tend to at least understand someone's perspective? Do you tend to oppose someone's perspective? What makes you tick? Do you get a rush of happiness when you realize that someone else has had the same unusual thought you've had? This is what makes a date good. Chemistry. Story 6. I think the sad truth of it, at least on dating applications, is that those types of people who treat it like an interview are the same reason why they're on the applications to begin with. A down-to-earth girl who wants to know you on a personal level has no issue finding dates. A woman who doesn't measure your worth by the money you make or the followers you have is incredibly attractive. That woman is either finding relationships through hobbies, friends, or is on the applications for just a short while before she finds someone who she clicks with. Dating applications are essentially 5-second elevator pitches about why you should engage with me or be in a relationship with me. You can find someone you click with, but you really have to put in the work. I seek solace in the applications because they're readily available. I'm admittedly not putting myself in the types of situations where I can connect with like-minded women. Story 7. What are you if not the sum of what you do and think? It's like that scene in Anger Management where Nicholson keeps saying, well, those are just your interests, but who are you? Those things are who you are. If talking about them is a chore, it's because you're just not clicking with the person, not because they are inherently superficial things to talk about. Story 8-1. Be attractive. 2. Don't be unattractive. Man, I wish I really knew. I've tried every shape and form possible online profile-wise, it feels like. I don't think I'm very good at step 1, though. Story 9. I feel really good when my personality makes the other person feel good. Like, if I can make them laugh, smile, and I can tell they enjoy being around me, then that has nothing to do with what I can bring to the table. It's all about how I can personally affect them just by being around. I feel good when I make others feel good. Story 10. Make no mistake, you are the sum of your career and utility. I tried dating throughout college, broke as anything, no luck. I tried dating all through graduate school, broke as anything, no luck. Made a good salary out of graduate school, and look who is all of a sudden a hot item. I'm not saying women are gold diggers, my wife makes more than I do. But income is a huge portion of your perceived value. That's just reality. Story 11. Well, that is the problem with adult dating. As a kid, you meet girls at school or through friends in a neutral environment where these things don't matter. The only thing that matters is you think they're attractive and your personalities match. There isn't anything like their level of independence or wages or anything else that matters at that age. As an adult, that changes a bit. A girl that has a great personality and is attractive but doesn't work and has no plans to work is kind of a deal breaker. So not only are you not meeting women naturally in your daily life anymore, but the number of important criteria for dating has increased dramatically on both sides. Dating as an adult is just tough, and there are a lot of hoops to jump through. Story 12. Read Permission to Feel by Dr. Mark Brackett. Do all the exercises and develop a full vocabulary related to your emotions. Get in touch with yourself. The book is just for that. It's not a guide to picking women up or dating. The key to interacting with women is to be genuine, not a hard sell guy. Stop seeing a date as a sales job. You're not there to sell yourself. You're there to present yourself and also to listen and be sensitive to your date. Who is she? What makes her tick? Be there to see if you genuinely are compatible, and if you are, be there to make her feel like she rocks when she's with you. Impress her by listening and by relating what she says to your own experience, not by one-upping her but by showing empathy and, where appropriate, good humor. Make her feel safe, attractive, and loved around you. If you don't click, don't waste your time or hers, but be a gentleman and spare her feelings. Story 13. Never forget that you are worthy and that at some point you will find someone who is as fed up with the same things as you are, and you can start something wonderfully new. Story 14. Agree that dates can kind of feel like a job interview, but the purpose is really just to meet people until you find someone you click with. If there's no chemistry, then the best resume in the world won't persuade someone to like you more. Furthermore, if you only advertise your qualities, it can come off as dry and a bit arrogant. It is important to have lifestyles and some interests in common, but you can't base a relationship solely off what looks right on paper. Story 15. Write down 10 things you like about yourself. Present. Write 10 things you like to do. Present. Write 10 things you want to improve. Future. Write 10 things or activities you want to do. Future. Now you have something to talk about on dates. Story 16. So if you are feeling jaded right now, maybe you can use that to your advantage. Maybe you can use these jaded feelings as a litmus test. If you still feel this way after the date, pass on seeing her again. If you feel like the date broke out of this mentality, go on that second one. There are amazing women out there. It is easy to forget it, but they are out there. Story 17. I know how you feel. Every date and early relationship becomes an interview, and you feel like you're applying for a job to be loved. I broke out of that mindset one day in my mid-30s. I literally just snapped out of it one day. I stopped talking to women who would ask me questions like an interview. If I was already dating them and felt even an inkling that they were sizing me up for my career or worth, I'd move them to a permanent friends with benefits bucket. I basically took my philosophy on hiring managers in my firm: hire slow, fire fast. Except with dating, it was take a long time to commit to her. Leave quickly if she's not working out. Once I switched my mindset, I became instantly more satisfied with life and dating. So I kept casually dating women that saw me as a utility because they are fun, and kept a keen eye on women that didn't treat me that way. I had a ton of casual relationships and 3 near-real relationships in 7 years and then found my wife. Then we aligned on life goals and values and got married. I've been so happy since. I'm now 49 with kids and a wonderful home life. Story 18. Well, yeah, you need to sell yourself because no one loves anyone for free, at least in romance. You have to provide something special you can offer her. And it's not like it's only men. I'm sure women feel the same way, just in a different way. Story 19. I wasn't reading the comments, so I don't know whether anybody already said something like this. Sounds like you're building a conversation on the topic of your personal success in life, but it doesn't necessarily need to be this way. Maybe you could try starting conversations about some topics that you found interesting that day. It becomes clear pretty fast whether you find it interesting to talk to the other person, hearing their views and thinking process. To me, at least, it's perfectly normal that you're not going to vibe with everyone, so if you're dating to meet someone you actually want to have in your life, and not just for a one-night stand, it's perfectly fine to let people go. You don't need to force it. Also, you're not there to provide for someone. You're there for you, and you need to feel comfortable around someone. It's not your job to make them like you. Maybe try to share your opinion on topics you like, and explain why and how you feel about certain things. I hope you won't feel like you need to advertise yourself in the future. You're you, and you're a beautiful person because of what you think and feel, not because of your job, your parents, your living situation, or anything like that. I hope this was helpful. Best of luck. Story 20. Talking about your job, hobbies, interests, and utility to sparking a connection is like handing in a resume. The interviewer learns surface-level things from that information, like interests or hobbies you have in common, whether you meet each other's standards for jobs or career aspirations, or whether you are in a stable place, but it doesn't show whether you two are truly compatible on a deeper level and doesn't build you up to be a three-dimensional person. Instead of focusing on presenting your statistics and making yourself look the best, talk about your experiences, stories, and dreams, such as what you wish to do in the future, not sleep dreams. Examples: if you have a crafting hobby, what are your favorite projects and why? What is your dream project to build or make one day? Do you have any interesting or profound anecdotes about places you've traveled? Or why do you desire to visit a certain place in the future? Why are you interested in something? What's your history with it? Do you plan to take the interest somewhere? I also find decision or opinion-based conversation topics to be more interesting than, oh, what do you like to do in your free time? I think it provides a lot more insight into how a person thinks and acts. Example: which of the 5 senses would you rather give up? Or alternatively, if you can only keep one of your 5 senses, which sense would you keep? A little silly, but I think you can learn a lot about someone with this question, and it leads to more conversations like whether they can't live without music, if food is the thing that sparks joy for them, etc. Maybe watch Shark Tank and discuss whether you would hypothetically invest in a product. Or MasterChef or Chopped, what would you cook? Otherwise, you can always ask questions to the other person. Or talk about the present. What's something good that happened today? What's something you're looking forward to? Also, sometimes there just isn't a spark. And that's okay, you can always respectfully move on, and maybe there will be a spark with the next person. Story 21. Find other women to date. I don't mean to sound harsh, but many of you are seriously focused on the wrong people or go through life with a scarcity mindset. If someone isn't the right match, then choose from the several billion women alive today. It's trial and error, but eventually, you'll find someone you connect with and who genuinely cares about you as a person. Story 22. That's why there's no romance. You're presenting too much about yourself. It's not a job interview. Focus more on the other person and let them find out about you. Know what I mean? Make them work to learn about you. You ask questions about them. They ask questions about you. Stay on topic. Don't feel a need to share everything. They'll learn about you soon enough. Story 23. Just filter out the women who only care about those things. Also, it takes a while to establish rapport. Most strangers only see you as a random set of characteristics that could either help them or harm them. Story 24. Woman here. Well, I wouldn't say a hobby would be a utility. It's an insight into who you are. Same with your interests. Also, your career could also be an insight. Do you work with animals in a shelter or veterinarian's office? You are compassionate towards animals. Do you teach grade school? You really love kids and want them to be a better generation than us. Are you a financial advisor? You want to help people manage a very complicated portion of their lives. Many of the questions are just a better insight into who you are. Yeah, it could kind of give a hint of how much money you make if that's what came to mind. But any decent person wouldn't care about your bank account. It's a universal thing. After the first few dates, even the first date, the interviewing fades away. Just be yourself, and eventually that difficult part will disappear. Good luck. Story 25. You need to flip the script around and make her prove why she is worth your time. Change your mindset. You are assuming that you have something to prove to somebody. Now, have an abundance mentality.